Alex Murdaugh was getting exposed before, after, and during the crime in various ways, and we're going to talk about some of those highlights right now. Hello, Sofa Squad, and welcome back to the sofa. That's the sofa behind us, and this is our trusty little sidekick who I'm actually holding today. He did not want to be on the sofa, and my name is Paul. Thank you to everybody who makes the Sofa Squad possible. Special shout out to the top tier Patreon members, as well as all the Patreon members, channel members, and everybody who likes, shares, comments on the videos, and keeps our doors open and the cushions fluffed, as well as talks about the victims and their lives and keeps their memories going. Now today we're going to be talking about a few highlight type situations from the Alex Murdaugh trial. If you've not been following this trial is currently going on. It is February 2023 that I'm recording this. Alex stands alleged of taking the life of his wife, Maggie, and son, Paul. Numerous financial crimes. I mean, basically everywhere you look in this case, it's just like there's crimes and also the corruption, you name it. It is turned into Dynasty Dallas as the damn world turns. I mean, whatever you want to call it, General Hospital. Okay. So, it's been crazy. Now, what I'm going to do particularly for this video, some videos I put up video clips and we talk about them as discussion points. What I'm going to be doing today is putting up some basically headlines, things of that nature. We're going to be talking about three topics specifically. First of all, we're going to talk about some text messages from Alex, not text messages, I shouldn't say that. We'll talk about text messages, but first we'll talk about some searches that Alex did on his cell phone, like right after he called 911, like what he was doing while the bodies of his family were right there. Then we're going to talk about some messages between him and his son Paul that I think are very telling, that could have been part of what was closing his world in. And then we're also going to be talking about the OnStar evidence that came out right towards the end of the state's case, and to me I was just like, oh wow on that. So let's go ahead and start with the first thing. I'm going to put the article here up on the screen. Now this was, I believe, from Fox News, and it says Alex Murdaugh looked up restaurant view text with bikini pic after finding wife and son. And then we'll just go into a couple of highlights from the article. Okay, so Alex looked up the name of a restaurant and viewed a text about a woman in a bikini after calling 911 to alert police that his wife and son's lives were taken, according to a witness who testified Friday. Now the article then goes in from the sled agent talking about, what he did, and he said that he viewed seemingly random content on his phone, and that he opened a group text message about a bikini of a woman, a picture of a bikini. I can't spit it out. A picture of a woman in a bikini from a friend, and Googled a restaurant called Whaley's in Edisto Beach around 10:40 p.m. after them placing the 911 call, according to a timeline on his phone data from June 7th. Now this next clip is from the defense attorney trying to basically make reasonings for this. He would seem to be in a state of shock, the defense attorney said of Murdaugh. None of that makes any sense, does it? You're not going to Google the name of a restaurant after you find your son's life taken. There is a reason I'm not saying the M word. I don't want anything to happen to the video. So that's why I do that, for anyone who's wondering. Yeah. And then here's just a little a clip of the search, and this is by Liz Farrell. Make sure to give her a follow on Twitter. And it just says, she tweets out Alex Murdaugh Googling for a restaurant while his wife's and son bodies are nearby. And then it highlights this at 10:40. Alex Murdaugh search Willie's Edisto and Safari browser. Okay, so here's the thing with this. Now, again, I go both ways on this. And if you follow me, then you'll know, I 100% think that he had something to do with this, obviously. But I try and go both sides of the fence when I look at some of this stuff, even though it's very hard for me to with this one. So on here, I'm just like, okay, so you're Googling this stuff, you're looking at this stuff, your family's bodies are there. And yeah, I mean, some level of shock like this, I don't know how I would act personally, right? So there's that. But all of this kind of gets blown out of the water to me when we view the OnStar evidence coupled with the evidence, the testimony from Miss Libby's Shelley caretaker, that she said that, when Alex came to visit. But we'll talk about that in a minute. Let's go on to the next thing for right now. Okay, so this next article, and of course I screen grabbed it right at the time this guy's eyes were closed. But obviously this is Fox News. Alex Murdaugh's son, Paul, confronted him about bags of pills before the double slaying. Now this to me is very prevalent. This to me is very important. Let's go on and read some of the article. So Colton County jurors were shown a text that Paul sent his father on May 6, 2021. So this is, a little bit before these events happened. I am still in EB because when you get here we have to talk. Mom found several bags of pills in your computer bag, Paul allegedly wrote. EB likely refers to the family's Edisto Beach house. So let's keep reading here. The transcribed voicemail was introduced into testimony. It also revealed that Maggie had conducted several internet searches from May 6 to the 26th of 2021 to identify specific pills. Now it shows white pill 30 on one side, RP. She typed into a Safari search engine on May 6, describing a 30 milligram tablet of oxys. Next day, Murdaugh texts his wife, "I'm very sorry that I do this to all of you. I love you," he wrote, but she didn't respond. Now, the older sister, Marion Proctor, testified Tuesday, and she said that Maggie called Paul her little detective because if there were pills in the house that his dad shouldn't be taking, he was determined to find them. Okay, now the reason this is so important to me is because I do believe that part of the motive to all of this is that Alex's world was closing in. It was getting claustrophobic. It was getting desperate. And this just goes to show, okay, here we have some evidence, amongst lots of other evidence, right? But Maggie is catching on. She's researching this. Paul's researching this. They are closing in his world. Now, also, I find it very interesting. Bags of pills. Now, we don't know what that means at this point, right? But hearing what Alex had to say about, I'm spending $50,000, $60,000 a week on pills. I'm like, yeah. Are we talking trash bags? Okay. Because we have to ask at this point, right? Are we talking like, construction size trash bags or just like little trash bags that you got up in the bathroom? Which one is it? So, but honestly. So here's the thing. I'm just like, okay, yeah, they were onto this. I have lots of thoughts on the whole thing of, was he actually selling pills or financing someone's business? I think there's way more to that story, right? Than just he was blowing through all this money. I think there can be a lot of different various ways to go through that. I actually did a video where we talked about that a little bit, but reading the comments in there, so many of you were so helpful about that. And I actually might do a live chat on the podcast channel where we read comments and use that as a discussion basis because there's so many excellent points brought up, which a huge one was, why would Curtis or Cousin Eddie get rid of a cash cow like Alex? It doesn't make sense, and I agree, right? It doesn't make sense. I think there's way more to that. So when Paul's like, I do it every time. I'm sorry, I do not mean to keep calling Alex Paul. There has to be something there. But when Alex is like, I was spending $50,000, $60,000 a week on the pills. I'm sorry. There has to be like way more to that story that he's lying and covering up for, right? And it could legitimately be that because like a lot of you said, there's many reasons why he could have been spending that money, right? I don't know, I wasn't there, but let's continue. Now for the big Mama Jamma, fire hot, chitty chitty bang bang evidence is the OnStar stuff that came out. I was like, oh my gosh. Now remember, this comes at the end of the state's case, right? So what we're going to do is we're going to put a little timeline up here, a screenshot of it, and we're going to read through it and talk about it. So here we go. So 6:42, he gets back to Moselle from work. 9:07, he leaves Moselle for his mother's house. 9:08, he drives 42 miles an hour past where Maggie's phone is later found. Now we're going to go a little bit more in depth than that in a minute. 9:22 arrives at the mother's house. 9:43 leaves the mother's house. 10 o'clock arrives back at Moselle. Now remember, just a few minutes later, he's calling 911 and doing all this, and then apparently searching for a restaurant, right? So, okay. Here's the thing with this, and we're going to, again, go into it a little bit deeper here. Remember, Shelley, caretaker, said he was at the house 15-20 minutes tops. Then he comes, sees her at the viewing, and he's like, I was at the house 45 minutes. He tells them that, the detectives during one of his interviews, I was there 45 minutes to an hour, but the car exposes him. It says differently. This is major. It is very obvious he is trying to make up for lost time. Now, let's go a little bit deeper into the article and what was discussed in court and whatnot, because it just gets worse for his case, in my opinion. Okay, so on the screen, we just have some quotes here. So first of all, let's talk about where he drives past Maggie's phone. This is major. He drives 42 miles per hour past where the phone is later found off the side of the road. He sped up, and at one point, he reached 74 miles per hour. Okay, so this right here, I mean, hello. And remember when he did the car thing with Cousin Eddie on the side of the road, he threw the knife. This is like a pattern for him, right? He does this. He just, this is what he does. Remember, there's so many similarities and patterns between the events that took place on the side of the road and this, just in the way that it was done. Okay, so 9:22, he arrives at the mom's house and he leaves by 9:43, indicating he was only there for 21 minutes. So remember, Miss Shelley, she was right. And she even gave him that like he was there 20 minutes probably. And she didn't say probably, she said 20 minutes. So right, dead on it, 21 minutes. He previously said he was there 30 to 40 minutes. Okay, again, not looking good. And it's one thing to be confused or forget or whatever, but that's not what's going on here. At 10 p.m., he arrives back at Moselle, the family's hunting property. At 10:05, he arrived at the dog kennels and dialed 911 20 seconds later. What, if anything, in his statements to law enforcement did the defendant say about when he arrived at the scene, asked Waters. The defendant stated that he went to check on Paul and Maggie to check the bodies. From the moment his Suburban arrived at the kennels, how long did it take for that 911 call to be made? Less than 20 seconds. Okay, so here's my thing with all that. So he's basically getting there. I mean, come on, right? He's getting there and within 20 seconds calling 911. That's not even enough time to, I mean, maybe pull up and, oh, what's going on? But I'm not buying it. I personally think he already knew the bodies were there. And he had gone trying to do this whole alibi throughout the evening. And that's why it just seems so weird. Remember, he went to the house, his mother's house, on the whole notion that, oh, well, Maggie's going to come with me and Dad, Mom's upset and this, that, and the other. Well, Maggie never went over there. We heard this from Miss Shelley. We know this. We heard from Maggie's sister. She was like, yeah, that was the whole reason why Maggie was going over there. So it was weird when she didn't go over there. It was weird when she found out that the father wasn't even at the house, because that was like the whole point of the evening, right? So then to find out this timeline's blown out of the water, and we have direct evidence now, OnStar saying, no, Miss Shelley's not maybe confused or whatever. He was only there for 20 minutes. And not only that, he went back and then tried to manipulate her into saying that he was there longer. Bless her heart, up there crying, scared for her job and all this. I mean, my God, come on. What a horrible thing to do to this woman. So the car has totally exposed this fake alibi. And again, then the 911 phone call, you immediately get there and do all that. Now, remember, before, he wasn't that concerned about where they were, what they were doing. Oh, well, even though they were supposed to go to the house with me, I wasn't going to drive down there and check. It wasn't that big of a deal. I just went on by myself. I mean, come on, right? So these three things were very major to me. Again, what I might do is do a live chat on the podcast. Let me know in the comment section if you want to do that, where we'll specifically talk about some of the stuff. Probably when you're watching this, it's going to be the morning on Tuesday morning, February 21st, when the defense is going to do whatever they're going to do. So we'll probably talk about some of that too, or whatever. I might try and do this tomorrow night, meaning Tuesday night when you're seeing this tonight. But we'll see. But let me know what you think. I just thought that these three things here really spoke to some of what was taking place, especially with Paul and Maggie. Maggie, this evidence of, yes, she knows something is up. This is not just a complete secret, the pills and all this type stuff. I mean, this is going on, right? They know something is up. His world is closing in. His world is getting ready to get exposed. And it looks like Maggie and his son are part of that. So again, so many different reasons to get them out of the way. Now, if you're still watching, drop some hearts in the comment section or sofas. However you show love here at the Sofa Squad for the victims. Thank you for being here. And, drop a little doggy paw for Roscoe in the comment section. He's had a rough couple of days with all these little visitors over here at the Sofa Squad. Anyways, I love you all. Thank you for watching, and thank you for making this such a great little sofa to hang out on. And until next time, there's all that, and we'll see you soon.